Hello and welcome to another episode of the Classical Republican. Today we're talking about countermajoritarianism. But first I wanted to show off my friggin' cap of liberty. Now I get a lot of comments on this. A lot of people think it's an elf hat. It's these hats I wear are actually about 3,000 years old, and you can see them in ancient statues and other types of art. Originally coming from the region of Phrygia. They're known as Phrygian caps of liberty because the people who wore them were people who were not ruled by kings. Yeah, when I get to 1,000, I'll probably give away a few to celebrate when I get to 1,000. I'm nowhere near there yet, so keep on sharing and giving, telling more people about our channel, and that way we can spread our message of classical republicanism. Now, on to the regular topic. Let me put this into slideshow. Now, let me take my hat off. This is my super warm hat. It's really warm. I made it from things that were actually very I was issued by the U.S. government back when I was in the Army. But let's go on to the topic. So today we're talking about countermajoritarianism, or where I explain what is wrong with 50% plus one vote. Classical Republicans get a bad rap for being counter-majoritarian. This does not mean that we are anti-democratic. Even direct democracy is good in small amounts. We are not anti-elections, though I would prefer the Venetian ballot. We are not anti-will of the people. The people must have a say. But just because you have a simple majority, or 50% plus one vote, it should not mean that this is what we are going to be doing now. This is not a defense of minority rule. Remember, we stand for the mixed regime. Power must be dispersed. Unlike some people, Nebraska. There are several arguments for counter-majoritarianism. If you have one that I do not include, please mention it in the comments. Okay, the first argument is that it can still be tyranny. The tyranny of the majority can still be a tyranny for the minorities who do not fit in and are perceived as unacceptable by the majority. It can also be arbitrary in nature. One of the oldest arguments of the elite is the elitist argument. They argue for competence and knowledge over popularity. We've seen this from Plato in ancient times to Brandolini in the 1400s. Please see my videos on Brandolini. Plato would argue that when you want to be a great athlete, you go to an expert coach, not 10 random people. So why, he wondered, would they do that in the Athenian government? Remember, they were a mass democracy, but they did not really believe, well, they had some elections for a few very important offices, like the strategos, the person who would be leading the army. But the vast majority of the Athenian magistracies and councils were all filled at random using the kleroterion. And you can see my video on classical democracy to see that technology in effect. James Harrington, are these in order? Yeah, here we are. James Harrington said ancient democracies were unstable and not long-lasting. For him, this lies in the debate of the masses, which is very difficult to facilitate because there would be too many people to have a coherent discussion or debate. That is why we today only have a yes or no vote on ballot initiatives. He felt that too much reliance on direct democracy could even result in the danger of a demagogue, leading everyone astray. And I think he saw this with Oliver Cromwell. Now, the next argument may be a little disingenuous. It is not about real majorities, but about perceived majorities. When people get wrapped up in their own little worlds and get caught up in echo chambers, they feel that they are a part of the real majority. And this can sometimes be a cover for what is really a loud minority. And we see this a lot at local meetings of city council, county commission, or school boards, etc. Pettit says there must be a place for people to contest government decisions, but this is not direct democracy. Now, he says, quote, that I control what is done by someone does not require that I am that very person. And that a people controls how government acts does not require that it is the government agency. The government is subject to effective and equal popular, that does not entail then that it is to be exercised by the people themselves. As in Rousseau's image of the self-governing assembly. Rousseau made a break with the Mediterranean Atlantic tradition of republicanism in giving such exclusive importance to the idea of the sovereign participatory assembly, end quote. This is where Rousseau diverged with classical republicanism and argued that we do not need the mixed regime at all when you have majorities of the people, which can decide everything. Pettit also calls for supermajorities in his book Republicanism. He says important laws should not be, quote, subject to excessively easy majoritarian change, end quote. There are supermajorities required to amend the Constitution. I know some argue that they are there to thwart democracy or defend the oligarchy, but they also provide for a wider consensus. Same thing with our local here in Southern Idaho, with our local 2/3 majority for property tax hikes for local government bonds. Okay, they all require a 2/3 majority. I concede that there must be places for majoritarianism to be made manifest, such as in individual institutions like a House or Senate. But supermajorities are better like with local bonds. General consensus is always better, such as in the election of the Doge. And you can see my video on that. To sum up, arbitrary simple majorities can be very dangerous, and we must have a mixed regime in order to temper them. There we go. So, we must have institutions other than the majority to protect everyone. Long live the Republic.